morning everyone. Uh, Today I will be discussing regarding phase bows and articulator. This lecture is purely dedicated for clinical tips. The phase bows and the articulator that you are supposed to use during your sessions. So what are the tips or how it is to be used? What are the points to be remembered? I will be talking regarding that. Theoretical part is not there in the lecture. There are certain points which are required for registering your phase bow and which are required for transferring the phase bow on the articulator. So only that part I will be discussing in today's lecture. You know that accurate diagnostic cast transferred to a semi-adjustable articulator are essential for any treatment planning. When you do the mounting procedure, you will come to know what type of occlusion is there, whether the space, if there is some missing teeth present in your arch, you will come to know that whether there is sufficient amount of space available to replace the pontic. So your diagnostic cast will let you know many details. Along with this, it is also going to tell you about the tilt, whether there are any occlusal interference. Everything can be judged or can be evaluated after doing your diagnostic mounting. That is why diagnostic mounting is very important, and for diagnostic mounting you need to have good quality diagnostic impression which should cover the sulcus also, because usually when we record the impressions we have seen that sulcus is not properly recorded, only there are indentations of the teeth. So that is not the proper way to record or to take the diagnostic impression. Whenever you take the diagnostic impression, you should also cover the sulcus depth. Then and then only you can get good quality of diagnostic cast. Now only taking diagnostic impression is not sufficient. You have to pour that impression properly without having any air bubble. So that is also one of the most important and neglected part, so that you have to understand. Once you have a good quality diagnostic cast, on that diagnostic cast only you are going to fabricate a putty index for your provisional restoration if you are using direct technique to give your provisional restoration. So if the details are accurately registered with your diagnostic impression, then your index will be excellent and you will have good quality of provisional restorations. Why semi-adjustable articulator? Why not 3-point articulator, or why not hinge articulator? Now as you can see in this diagram, you will come to know that this is your hinge axis and this is the hinge axis of your articulator, right? So if you concentrate, you will come to know that the arc of closure with the hinge articulator is very short, and because of this short arc of closure, smaller radius of closure, which is going to lead for the premature contacts. So these premature contacts will be there in your prosthesis, or it will be reflected in your restoration. So that is why we should use always semi-adjustable articulator, which is duplicating the same arc of closure like our human body. So this is the importance of using semi-adjustable articulator. How to achieve this accuracy? Whenever you want to use your semi-adjustable articulator, it has to be transferred. The orientation, maxillary occlusal plane, whatever angulation the maxillary occlusal plane is having, that should be transferred on your articulator. And that transferring the occlusal plane onto the articulator, that is called as orientation jaw relation. Reproducing the patient's mandibular movement with reasonable accuracy is possible when you will transfer that maxillary occlusal plane onto the articulator. And how you can transfer that? The cast is transferred with the help of your phase bow record and centric relation record, not centric occlusion or not maximum intercuspation, right? So centric relation record. So this is very important when you transfer your phase bow record on the articulator. Now we are going to have brief introduction regarding your centric relation. Basically, centric relation, according to the glossary of prosthodontic term, the definition of centric relation goes like this. It is a maxillomandibular relation in which the condyle articulates with the thinnest avascular portion of the respective disc. Now if you can see in this picture, this is your condyle and this white portion is your articulating disc, thinnest avascular portion of your articulating disc. So this relation, centric relation, talks about bone to bone relation, the relation between the fossa, glenoid fossa, and the relation between your head of the condyle. So in between this glenoid fossa and head of the condyle, there is a avascular thin disc. So this relation talks about that maxillomandibular relation in which the condyle articulates with the thinnest avascular portion of the respective disc with the condylar disc complex in the antero-superior position against the articulator eminence. So this is the definition given by the prosthodontic term. Now, relation is not having any kind of correlation between your teeth. Maybe your teeth are in contact, maybe your teeth are not in contact. When the patient is having centric relation, it is not mandatory that your teeth will be in contact. So always remember, centric relation is purely bone to bone relation. As you can see in this picture, there is no relation with the teeth, only there is relation, and we have already seen the definition. We are talking only about the bone, we are not talking about the teeth. So it is purely bone to bone contact. What is the difference between centric relation and centric occlusion? When we say about centric occlusion, whatever the relation your condyle is having at the time of centric relation, same type of relation should be there. Along with this, your teeth should have contact. So this centric occlusion means, or you can say it is a bone to bone and teeth to teeth relation, whereas centric relation was bone to bone relation. Centric occlusion is bone to bone and teeth to teeth. Okay, so this is the major difference between centric relation and centric occlusion. Now, what is this MIP, maximum intercuspation position? How it goes? First you have centric relation where there is no contact of the teeth. Then you have centric occlusion, CO, where there is contact of the teeth. And when you ask your patient to clinch, close tight, that is your maximum intercuspation position. As the name is suggesting, maximum intercuspation position, that there is cusp and fossa relation, tight cusp and fossa relation. Now this maximum intercuspation relation doesn't have any relation with your condyle, because sometimes maybe your condyle will be in centric relation, maybe it not be like your centric relation. So it doesn't have any relation with your centric relation. Maximum intercuspation relation doesn't have any relation with your centric relation, whereas centric occlusion will always have relation with your centric relation, because when centric occlusion is there, your condyle should be in the same relation like your centric relation, right? So it's a bit confusing, but if you understand, it will be easier for you. Now, when we are recording this relation in our clinic, usually we are not recording this relation in centric occlusion or centric relation. Basically, we are recording this relation in maximum intercuspation, because we are learning this in basic level, right? So this is first step. After that, once you have properly understood what is centric relation, occlusion, then you can proceed with your maximum intercuspation, and then you can properly transfer articulator. But as a beginner, you should record your maximum intercuspation, which is a static record. It is not dynamic record. Dynamic, you understand, when your mandible is moving in eccentric movement, anterior movement, protrusion, retrusion, side lateral, side movements, that is your dynamic movement, whereas static means only opening and closing. So your maximum intercuspation is just your opening and closing. So how you are going to record that? First you have to instruct your patient to open and close in centric occlusion, not centric relation, centric occlusion, right? You have to check in the oral cavity whether your patient is closing properly or not, because sometimes we have observed that if the patient is very enthusiastic, he will try to impress you and he will close when he have on the central incisors, on the incisor, and you will have a bite on the central incisors, right? We don't want that. We want centric occlusion. So you have to guide your patient. You have to tell what is expected when you say close your mouth. So once your patient understand this, that this is what you want, then it is okay. Then you can register, verify the closure first of all, and then you put the bite registration paste. Now there are different materials which are available to register the bite. The commonest material we are using is your bite registration wax and your bite registration paste. The studies have shown that the most accurate impression bite registration recording material is your elastomeric material, right, where there will be no dimensional changes, whereas wax is also providing good quality of registration, but it is very sensitive to your temperature. So there might be distortion when there is variation in the temperature change. So it is always better to register your maximum intercuspation with your bite registration paste. Once you put the bite registration paste on the occlusal surface, now one thing you have to be remember that this material is hydrophobic. It hates water. So when you are registering, take some gauze, dry all the surfaces, maxillary mandibular surfaces, occlusal surfaces of the teeth. You have already instructed your patient how to close in centric occlusion, maximum intercuspation. Then you have to place or introduce the bite registration paste from right side to the left side on the occlusal surface, mandibular occlusal surfaces of all the teeth, and ask your patient to close in centric occlusion. Verify the closure. It is very important to verify this closure. Once you have verified that, the records are removed. After it sets, the records are removed. It has to be inspected properly whether there is recording of all the indentation of the teeth or not. If there are no indentation, it is always better to discard and do it again. Registering the orientation relation with your face bow. Now the face bows are used to record the antero-posterior. Now this is very important. You have to concentrate now. I want 100% attendance. Face bows are used to record the antero-posterior and mediolateral spatial position of the maxillary occlusal surface in relation to the transverse opening and closing of the patient's mandible. Now everybody knows what is hinge axis, right? It is an imaginary line which is passing through the center of the condyle, right and left center of the condyle. So around this axis your mandible opens and close, and these are to your orientation points, right? You know, infraorbital third point of reference we talk about, infraorbital notch, right? Orbital pointer, that is your third reference point. These are first and second reference point, okay? Your center of the condyle. But you will be surprised, we are using spring bow, and when we use that spring bow, we are putting that in the external auditory meatus. It is not in the hinge axis, right? So just there are certain studies where they come to know that instead of putting in the center also, they have given one area, right? Instead of one single point, they have marked one area over which you can put your reference point, and then you can record your face bow relation. So we are using external auditory meatus as a reference point when you are registering your face bow record with the help of your spring bow. So we will see the classification of face bow also, then you will understand what is the difference between that. So definition, as you know that it is a antero-posterior and mediolateral relation of your maxillary occlusal plane with the transverse hinge axis. Now as you can see in this picture, this is the inclination of your maxillary occlusal plane, and when you record with the face bow, this same inclination will be transferred on the articulator. So this is your face bow record or orientation jaw relation record. Now there are two different varieties of face bow. Everybody knows that. One is your arbitrary face bow that we are commonly using, and another is your kinematic face bow, where they exactly locate the hinge axis, the center of the hinge axis. As you can see in this plate, they will exactly locate the center of your hinge axis, and they will place the condylar rods in that axis only, and then they can record the relation. Now the big difference with this kinematic phase bow is that here with your arbitrary phase bow we are attaching the bite fork to the maxillary arch, whereas with the kinematic type of phase bow we are attaching this plate with the mandibular arch, so that when the mandible is opening and closing, there will be rotation with this hinge axis component, right? And if it is disoriented, it will get arc on this paper. There is one paper here, it will get arc, that means it is not in the center. Then again you have to adjust till you get a single point. When your patient is opening, till you get a single point, you have to keep on adjusting that. So that is the biggest difference between your kinematic phase bows, which are very accurate, and arbitrary phase bow. In arbitrary phase bow they are subdivided or subcategorized into two main varieties. One is your fascia type. Now as you can see in this picture, the condylar element is not in the external auditory meatus, it is anterior to the tragus of the ear, right? So it is anterior to the tragus of the ear. So it is placed approximately in the area where there is a condyle, center of the condyle. So this is fascia type of phase bow, right? And then we have earpiece type of phase bow. So all these are your earpiece type of phase bow, where your rod will go into the external auditory meatus. And spring bows we are commonly using in our clinic, so I will be concentrating only and only on your spring bows. Now to begin with the phase bow, we should understand there are certain parts which are very important to know. What are that important part? One is your bite fork. Now as you can see this picture, this is called as bite fork, whereas this is called as bite plane. Now as this is plane, it is called as bite plane, and this is bite fork. Usually bite fork is to be used for your occlusal rim. When you record the orientation jaw relation for your edentulous patient, commonly we are using bite fork to register the orientation jaw relation. But you can also use this bite fork for your dentulous patient as well. Along with this, other important component we have is your orbital pointer. So these are your orbital pointer. Now this orbital pointer, it is removable, right? So you can place it again at the time of. Then there are different other parts which is going to help you for transferring the phase bows on the articulator. The first important part is your transfer clamp assembly. There are three thumb screws that has to be loose when you record your phase bows. Then you have mounting platform. When you transfer this phase bow record on the articulator, this mounting platform is going to help you to support the cast. So then we have anterior elevator, right? In some phase bows you have to use this anterior elevator also. Let us see phase bow recording with the help of your spring bow. Now everybody has seen this spring bow. So you have to attach your transfer assembly to the phase bow, and then preparing the bite plate for your recording. So this is your modeling wax sheet. Now why we are using this modeling wax sheet? Because we don't have adhesives. Our bite registration paste will not adhere with the plate. When you try to remove the bite plate from the oral cavity, the bite registration paste might remain in the oral cavity, right? You have to ideally apply adhesive, and then you have to place a bite registration paste. As we don't have that, we are using another method, that is your placing the modeling wax sheet. We are preparing the holes for mechanical interlocking, and it is very easy. Make sure that the raised dot should be facing towards the top. So once your bite plate is, check into the oral cavity whether it is properly fitting or not, whether there is excessive wax which is protruding laterally and Is it creating any kind of discomfort for your patient? The raised dot should be on the top and it should be exactly in the middle, in the midline. Now in this patient we have anterior spacing, so you can take reference of your labial frenum, right? So once you are satisfied that your fork is properly placed without having any discomfort, then you have to introduce the bite registration paste. Make sure we have created some holes. Make sure your material should flow from that hole so that it will mechanically interlock and it will not come out. So that is a very small important tip for you. And then you have to place it, and while orientation of this plate, make sure it should be oriented exactly in the center, and all the teeth indentation should be recorded. If the teeth indentations are not recorded, always better to discard that registration paste and place a new paste. So once you are verified and satisfied, then you can place two cotton roll and ask your patient to close gently. If not, you can ask your patient to hold with the thumb also. That is also one kind of method. But when you are asking him to hold with the thumb, make sure his body part or his finger should not touch to the part of your face bows. So orientation of your face bow, as we have seen, the raised dot should be facing on the top. You can see this raised dot, it should be facing on the top. It should be exactly in the center. These are the small points that has to be remembered for accuracy. You can place the U-shaped face bow assembly. These are the thumb screws that should be loosed when you are placing that. The number should be facing towards you. And do it very gently. You can verify, you can ask your patient whether it is properly seated in his external auditory meatus like headphone or not. Your patient will guide you properly. Right. Once it is properly adjusted, you have to verify from the top whether it is in the located in the oriented in the center or not. Once you are assured that it is properly oriented, now see in this picture you can see that it is properly oriented, right? And the orbital pointer, you can see the orbital pointer is properly oriented. If this is not oriented properly, you can adjust the height of this face bow, U-shaped face bow, by pushing this rod upward and downward. Once it is adjusted, you have to adjust the orbital pointer and then you have to tighten this screw. This is the lateral view, and when you present your cases, whenever you are including the pictures in your presentation, the front view and the lateral view should be included. Then only that extra mark will be credited to your case. Right, now removing the face bow. So once you are satisfied, once your photographs are done, then remove the orbital pointer, stretch the U-shape assembly, ask your patient to open gently and remove it from the oral cavity. When you remove, make sure it should not move, right? Because sometimes you are wearing gloves. So while removing, maybe you accidentally fail to tighten the nuts. They are not properly tightened. So while removing, it might move. If it moves, better to repeat everything, right? So once you remove your face bow, and after that is your transferring. So before transferring you have to do the zeroing of the articulator, that is your neutralization of your articulator. So first of all you have to adjust the condylar guidance, and if you observe the condylar guidance it starts from -20 to +60, and when you do the neutralization you have to adjust this condylar guidance at 30°. So how to do that, how to adjust that? There is one screw here, you have to loosen this screw and then you can move this assembly 60 +60 -20. You have to adjust this at 30°, and then you have to lock that nut. Then locking the centric lock pin. Now there is one more pin here, this is your centric lock pin. If you observe in this video you will come to know that your condyle is moving in that track. So while mounting, the condyle should not have any kind of movement, because we have recorded the occlusal relation in static movement, right? So same static movement should be there in your articulator. So for that you have to lock this centric locking pin. So when you lock this centric locking pin, the condyle will not move at all, it will be there at one position only. Is the lateral condylar guidance, or you can also say it as Benith angle, and it should be again 30°. The reading starts from 0 to 30, so you have to adjust this at the 30°. Now there is a manual which is provided with the articulator, and in that manual also it is mentioned that it should be adjusted at 30°, right? So this adjustment you have to do on both the side, on the right side also and on the left side also. Incisal pin. Now this is your incisal pin and this is your incisal table. There is one line which is in the center. So your incisal pin should be exactly in the center. If it is not in the center, you can lose this thumb screw and then you can adjust the height accordingly and make sure it should flush with the middle portion of your occlusal table. Then your articulator is ready for your mounting procedure. This is called as zero. Now it is time to transfer the phase bow record on the articulator. So this is our articulator. We have to mount the articulating plate. So these are your plates. Only maxillary plate has to be installed. Then there is transfer assembly. We have already seen in previous slides. This transfer assembly you have to mount in the lower assembly. Mounting plate, maxillary mounting plate. If you observe this orbital pointer, can you observe the orbital pointer of articulator? When you issue articulator, orbital pointers are not installed with your articulator. You have to request for orbital pointer, then he will give you orbital pointer. So we are adjusting the condylar guidance, that is zeroing of the articulator on both the sides. Make sure the incisal pin should be flush exactly in the center of your occlusal table. Verify everything, cross check all the thumb screw, make sure they are properly tightened, and now your articulator is ready. This is transfer assembly that has to be attached with the lower assembly. This transfer assembly is going to support your maxillary cast when you transfer the phase bow record. Now your condylar rod, there is small hole and there is small pin on the articulator. It will engage with your hole which is present on your phase bow. And then you have to adjust the phase bow into the transfer assembly Make sure the orbital pointer of articulator and orbital pointer of face bow should flush with each other. If they are not flushing, you can adjust the height, and once the height is adjusted, then you can lock this nut. Make sure there should be sufficient amount of space in between base of the cast and your mounting plate. If there is no space available, or if the space is very less, anytime you can trim your base of the cast. If this space is not sufficient, there are chances that your incisal pin will be raised. It will not touch to the articulating articulating table, which is wrong. So this space is very important. You have to cross check that. Along with this, there is one assembly on this transfer assembly. There is this part that is going to support the cast from the bottom, and this thumb screw is going to, you have to tighten it so that it should not move at all. So once this is verified, once everything is done, then your start. Now we have to mount the maxillary cast. We have already prepared the nicks and notches. You know that how to prepare the nicks and notches. So already the notches has been prepared. The creamy plaster should be placed on the base of the cast and place on the mounting plate as well, so that there will be proper mechanical locking, because there are many grooves in your mounting plate that is going to hold your cast. And then gently close your upper assembly of articulator. Make sure it should have contact with the incisal table. Whatever excess plaster is there, you have to remove it very gently with the help of plaster spatula, wax knife, whatever is convenient, you can use that. Initially it is bit messy. When you did this in second year in dental occlusion, you must have experienced that how messy it was. But the moment you are familiar with the procedure, then it becomes very easy. Within 10-15 minutes you can transfer the face bow record on the articulator. So after removing, it should look something like this. You have to finish properly. Whatever plaster which is stick on the surface of the articulator, that has to be cleaned with your wet gauze. Now what next after mounting your maxillary cast? Mandibular cast is subsequently related to the maxillary cast with interocclusal record. Now you remember we have already recorded the maximum intercuspation position, right? So with the use of that record, you have to mount the mandibular cast on the articulator. If the patient's cast are accurately transferred to an instrument, considerable amount of time can be saved with your final restoration. That it's very easy. You have to verify the records on the cast. Then the cast has to be placed onto the articulator. Now here he has used the orthodontic wires and the sticky wax. You can also use rubber band to secure the mandibular cast with the interocclusal records. Then make sure there is sufficient amount of space, and then you can mount the mandibular cast, and now your diagnostic mounting is ready. So what we have learned today, we have seen the face bow and articulator different parts and how to do the zeroing of the articulator, what is centric relation, centric occlusion and maximum intercuspation position. Then we have seen the zeroing of the articulator. We have seen how to transfer this face bow record on the articulator, and how do we transfer the mandibular cast also. So this is what So thank you very much. I will take your questions now.